Hello again, still me, Joseph Carabas. Continuing where I left off in Experiment 48, a bit of a while ago. Experiment 48 was entitled Eating My Own Dog Food, and it was about being able to critique yourself and edit your own work. Before I forget, we're still listening to Celtic music. This time it's the Celtic Legacy CD collection. And as I mentioned previously, just amazing stuff. The Celtic Legacy collection actually has Celtic music from all over the globe. Most people think Celtic music, Ireland. If they're knowledgeable, they go Scotland, Ireland. And if they really know what they're doing, they go Brittany, Mox, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Galicia, Cape Breton, Nashville. Hey. Anyway, I said anyway, and I was trying to stop that. One group, 4 or 5 women that is on this one CD is the Poozies, P-O-O-Z-I-E-S. It's a kind of a pun on the name of a bar, a tavern in Scotland where Robert Burns used to go. Go ahead, tell me you don't know who Robert Burns is. Oh, whatever. If you get a chance, the Poozies are just amazing. The bass group is 2 harpists, and wow, the sounds they can get from those harps are just incredible. So anyway, enough of that. Eating my own dog food again. I'm working on, I'm editing a piece which at present, or up until about a day and a half ago, I thought was going to be novelette length or novella length. It is something that I'm looking over here because this is where I have the listing. Something I originally wrote in 1990. I wrote the first version of it in 1990 when so much was happening. I was, just churning stuff out. Churning stuff out, yes. And a lot of it is very salvageable. I'm not going to say good, but salvageable. Meaning there's some elements in it which are just downright amazing. Not necessarily the writing, but some of what the elements are in there are worth salvaging. But number one, I didn't really know a lot about craft. And number 2, it was very raw material. Not meaning rough. I mean, it was emotionally raw because of everything I was going through at the time. Just so we're all clear, that's when I was in recovery from my life. Not meaning drugs or drink, just had a rough childhood. So I wrote Recovery TripTych back then about the main character, the protagonist, if you will, having to deal with his upbringing, his essentially emotional and psychological training. And I kind of would go back and leave it. I've always believed there was something there worth publishing. I always had a challenge thinking in the forms that it was in, the different evolutions of it. It was something other people would want to read unless they were really sick bastards. Because there's some really horrific, grotesque, and I'm not talking about Stephen King type of grotesque. I'm talking about if you've been in war, if you've been in combat, if you have seen people blown apart, actually seen it happen, that kind of stuff, which you really don't want to see on the screen or read about. Honest to God, you don't. If you've seen it, that's enough. Leave it, okay? So I knew it needed work. And I picked it up again because it's scheduled to be released as a novelette in 2026, which is not terribly far away. And depending what you're watching this on, LinkedIn or YouTube or Substack, it'll be 2026 when you see it. Be that as it may. So I was reading through it, and it did need editing, the type of editing which is what I would apply to a finished piece, which is, okay, we're just going to do some polishing, comma here or there, move a sentence over, rearrange a paragraph. And I got, it's a TripTych, meaning there are 3 pieces. I got to the beginning of the 3rd piece and realized there were several times when I put the story down. I would go back to it, but I put it down because I was tired of it. Tired in the sense of it's a difficult thing to edit. It was difficult for me to go through and edit it, not because of the content, but because of the way it was written. Okay. So I stepped back, as I often do, and I got involved in something else, which is what I do. And the back of my mind, which is far smarter than the front of my mind, just all of a sudden put up, it's not moving along. It's, as I'm sure you've heard me talk about toing and froing, I'll put a link in. It was toing and froing all over the place because in the original version and each subsequent version, I, as the author, wanted to distance myself from the story because of the pain that it had in it, which meant that I, as the author, was distancing the reader from the pain that was in it, which is not what you want to do. You want the reader to be responsive, reactive, involved, engaged. They may be repelled by it. They may be sickened by it. Fine. But if they keep on reading it because the characters or the storyline is so fascinating, they need to know it turns out, great. Be second, read it. And that was the problem. But I did not realize that until I gave myself enough distance from the original material, if you will, or the last revision of the material, to recognize the story didn't move very well. The pacing of the story was just way off. Okay, great, wonderful. So I took out a fresh printout because I edit on paper and then transfer to the screen. Excuse me. I did that. I did another printout of it and I'm looking at it. But now I'm going, eating my own dog food. I am critiquing it as I would critique someone else's work. I'm editing it as I would edit someone else's work. If something had been sent to me as in Wilderness House Journal, because for those of you who don't know, I'm the senior fiction editor there. And we'll talk about that in the next experiment. If this was sent to me over the transom, so to speak, would I still be interested in it enough to go past the first paragraph? How would I tell the author to fix it? Very different mindset. The inboard editor was now kicking in full bore, not just polishing, but this thing needs to be rewritten. What can I tell the author about how to rewrite it? So I had the fresh printout there, changed the first paragraph completely. Not completely. Key elements are there. They are restructured and rewritten so that, if you will, the plot points remain. However, what happens around those plot points to reveal those plot points is radically different. And I will, if you're willing, I will actually give you, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to give you an example. The original version was roses and stitches, they went together somehow. Against the wall on the opposite side of the room from him were red roses and black stitches. The opposite side of the room from him was awash with red roses, in the center of which was a white coffin on a black frame. Gerald didn't know how any of it got into his room. He was afraid and curious, and his curiosity made him even more afraid. Somehow he remembered that curiosity often brought pain. To me, regardless of the fact that I originally wrote that, there is something intriguing there. There's some sense of conflict. There's obviously tension for the character. But really, as written, meh. How about Gerald flattened himself against a wall in a smallish room, a parlor-sized room, except this was a viewing room. A white coffin rested on a black frame against the wall opposite him, and at its center, the room was awash with red roses. Number one, it's much shorter, and that keeps the reader going. Number two, the main character, Gerald, the protagonist, is identified immediately, the situation identified immediately, flattened himself against a wall in a smallish room. You don't do that unless there's something there that you don't want to see or like. Parlor-sized room gives you an idea, except it was a viewing room. What was there that he was viewing he didn't like? White coffin, black frame, opposite wall. The room is awash in roses. Note that all of the principal elements from the original version are there. All the reader needs to move forward are in the new version, but it is more concise. It is tighter. It is more direct. It is in active voice. Nothing's passive about it. I'm letting the reader have it full on. I don't enjoy eating my own dog food, except when I pull back and realize by the time I'm done, that dog food is going to be damn tasty. So I hope that's useful to you. I hope you're willing and able to give a good critiquing, a good editorial review of your own work, because it'll make it better. At least I believe I'm doing that for my work, and I offer it to you as well. That being noted, it is time. It is time. Yes, it is time. We're about to say goodbye. Bye.